Hi guys, this is a PREspective beginners tutorial. I will show you the beam maze tutorial and how to complete this tutorial step by step. So let's begin. In the hierarchy you will find a game object called beam maze tutorial and will have a description on how to complete this tutorial. It says in this tutorial you will need to place a beam emitter and a beam receiver together with multiple beam reflectors in the maze so that the laser will roughly follow the arrows. When the receiver detects a beam, a LED should light up. Okay. In order to complete the tutorial, you will need to place all the components in the maze. Put the emitter, that's this object, and the receiver, this object, in the opposite corners. Place the mirrors, beam reflectors, there are those, in between so that the beam would roughly follow the arrows. Okay, so let's begin by placing these components in their proper places. So the emitter is going in this corner, so we're going to rotate this 90 degrees. All right, and then drag it in. Okay, great. Then the receiver, we're going to do the same thing. Yeah, drag it in its corner. Okay, those are positioned nicely. Okay, then the mirrors. I'm going to use 3 mirrors. We're going to put them in these places. And this is a rough estimate. Since the beam isn't being emitted yet, I don't know exactly how the beam will reflect from these mirrors eventually, but I'm going to make a rough estimate. So it's going to be something like this. Okay, great. Back to the description. Now we've done this. Make the emitter lens project a beam with the Beam-Emitter script. To do this, for every script there is a brief description also included here, which will tell you how to use those scripts. But for the emitter, we select the lens in the hierarchy, and we're going to assign the Beam-Emitter script to this object. So under Prepare, we go to Physics, Sensors, Beam Sensor, Emitter. And it will draw a gizmo. This is the gizmo on how it will project the beam eventually. The beam is only emitted in play mode. So if we go to play mode now, we will see that it will draw a gizmo, this one, and that's the laser. Note that the mirror doesn't reflect anything yet, since it doesn't have the reflector script yet. That was a laser it emitted. Here you can set the offset, position and direction of the laser, but the defaults are perfectly fine for this example. We can also set a beam material, and we're going to do this. So in resources, materials, I have a material set. We're going to drag this in, and if we now go to play mode, we will see that the beam is drawing a mesh, and the material is projected on that mesh, and then the beam will look nicer. Okay, so the emitter is now emitting a beam. Next thing we need to do is make the mirrors actually reflect the beam and have the laser roughly follow the arrows, the beam reflector script, that is. So we select a mirror, and then we go to Prepare, Physics, Sensors, Beam Sensor, Reflector, and we select the perfect beam reflector, and now it adds this script. Note that this doesn't have any settings to it. It simply adds the ability for this game object to reflect a beam. So we go to play mode once again, and you see here that this now reflects the beam. So let's try to position this mirror that it approximately shoots in the right direction. So that's like so. Okay, let's copy this transform, since we go out of play mode now, and then we have to paste it back in, so this pops right back into the right position. Let's do the same with these mirrors. So add the mirrors, the reflector scripts. Okay, great. I go to play mode once again, and then I'm going to position the mirrors properly. So we need to rotate this a little bit, like so. and then copy the component, and then paste the component back in, and then for one last time I'm going to position the last mirror so that the beam will hit the eye of the receiver, like so. Just a little bit more. Great. Okay. Copy the component, paste it back in, and if I go to play mode now, it should directly shoot the laser into the eye of the receiver. Great. Okay. So, next thing we need to do, make the receiver eye detect a beam. That's the beam receiver. Okay. So we select the receiver eye, and then we add the receiver component. So in prepare, physics, sensors, beam sensor, receiver, it adds this script, and it has a property here, is flagged. This means whether it's currently being hit by a beam or not. And this also only works in play mode, since the beam only gets emitted in play mode. And in the properties here we can assign listeners to 2 events. But if I go to play mode now, we should see this is flag changed to true, since the laser will directly shoot into the eye, and we see here it's now changed to true. If we change one of the mirrors so that it doesn't hit the eye anymore, so like this, we can see that it's set to false. If I lock this for a second and then change this back, and you see it's now changed to true. Note that this has a slight delay, since this only updates when my mouse is in the inspector. So if I go in now, it now changes to false, right? But it works. Okay, great. Last thing we need to do, unlock this. Make the LED light up while the receiver eye is being hit by a beam. That's the indicator light script. For this to work, we go to the receiver, and then we select the LED and then the cap. We set a indicator light script on this cap, since this is the component that needs to light up. We go to prepare UI lights indicator light, and we'll add this script. In the properties, you can set the color of the LED. The inactive color is the base color it has now, and the active color is the light, the color it will emit when active. We can set it to active here, and you will see it now turns into a bright yellow LED, and we can set the intensity. Let's set it to, well, it was around this, so that's good. That's good. Set it back to inactive. What we need to do is make the LED light up while the receiver is being hit by the beam. If we go to the receiver, the eye, I just showed you these 2 events. We're going to add 2 listeners, or 1 listener to each. One event is the on signal low, when the eye is no longer being hit by a beam, and the on signal high is when it is being hit by the beam. In both cases, we're going to assign the cap, the indicator light, to these. If it's no longer being hit by the beam, we say that the indicator light is now, the is active flag is false. And if is being hit by the beam, we say that is active is true. Okay, so if we did this correctly, we go to play mode now. If this is being hit by the beam, it should light up. And we see here it's now being lit. And if we go to the emitter, and we go to the control panel and set the emitter is active to false, the LED also doesn't light up anymore. Great! So that's the whole tutorial. We've now completed the entire tutorial. If you still plan on doing it yourself, good luck. If you already have, congratulations. And I'll see you in the next one.